Do you believe still that there are no guns that should not be bought legally?
The problem is when I hear the president say common sense gun measures, he never mentions anything specifically that would have prevented what happened in San Bernardino, what happened in Colorado. So if we're going to talk about what will prevent it, look, one of the shooters, the lady, had been through a very thorough background check in order to get her fiancé visa. So nothing showed up.
Right, but my question is, do you think if people couldn't buy AK-47s, there would be a different kind of thing? No, because AK-47s are meant to kill, to murder. That's what they're built for.
But criminals do not obey the laws we have. You can pass 100 new laws, and they're not going to suddenly say, oh, well, now that you've passed that one, I'll start abiding by it.
So you think that all guns are on the table still?
No, you're just taking the firearms away from people who have every right to own them and who aren't dangerous.
Okay, my question, the NRA, there are about 5 million members of the NRA, but in this country, about 73 million to 81 million gun owners. And the NRA doesn't speak for the majority of those gun owners. So why do politicians give the NRA so much power?
I don't think that politicians give the NRA power.
They
I think
do.
I think they represent those 73 million people who are firearm owners. You know, I'm a firearm owner. I know a lot. I grew up with firearms. I don't know of anybody in my world who says, I think we could solve this criminal problem. We could solve terrorism if we just took all the firearms or even some of the firearms away from law-abiding citizens. I just don't think that's the answer. Look, these people were making pipe bombs. Why aren't we talking about pipe bombs? People have flown airliners into buildings.
They're going to find something.
You had a pressure cooker that went up in Boston. You banned pressure cookers?
And
where do you stop?
But comparing, I mean, not to even go there, but it's not as big of an issue. And honestly, you can walk into a store and buy a gun. You can't buy a pipe bomb at Walmart.
We're talking about some common sense, Governor. We're talking about some common sense things that we can do, too, like preventing those that are on the FBI's terror list to buy a gun.
Paula,
why can't we get that done? That seems to make a lot of sense to
But the president said the no-fly list. Let's remember that Ted Kennedy, the senator from Massachusetts,
but he's an anomaly.
No-fly list. Well, so was the wife of Senator Ted Stevens. She went by Cat Stevens instead of her name Catherine sometimes. They thought she was the Cat Stevens singer who had become a Muslim, which he wasn't even on the list either. You have people, I've known people who have been on the list. In fact, this morning we found out there's 72 different staff members at Department of Homeland Security who are on the no-fly list.
So why not do... I'm sorry, go ahead, baby. I was just going to say, why not do the homework to take care of the folks who shouldn't be on the no-fly list? We've seen this since the list began, but it doesn't answer the question, and you're a little cagey on this, so I'm just going to say it again. Do you think, not homeowners, but gun owners should have AK-47s? What is the purpose for someone owning an AK-47, legally or illegal? I don't know many things that have happened where people use AK-47s except in mass shootings. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, I think the point goes back to Second Amendment rights. If a person is a law-abiding citizen, has never done harm to another person, why should the government start telling them what restrictions they should have on how they defend themselves? If somebody comes to your home and breaks in and they've got an AR-15, then you should be equally armed, or otherwise you're going to lose that.
But why should that person have it? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Year-old man, and he has been a sheriff, and he has enforced the law in his county. But I think to your first point, which I hope that we can emphasize. Listen, we're living in a country where everybody disagrees, okay?
Fair.
I can't hardly find agreement within my own family sometimes.
Fair.
It's so divided and polarized. But what you also mentioned was this was a president who not only did the important job of standing up federal resources to assist in Texas, but then he got criticized for not showing enough empathy. He goes back, he hugs people, and then people are saying, we got to find something to hate this guy for. I mean, I'm just telling you, the man could...
was actually really good. I don't believe him because he lies so much. No one believes anything.
Take what he does.
That's the problem.
What he did in that hurricane relief is what's important. And what he did was ensure that every federal agency was fully engaged in helping those people, and then that he was giving attention to it on a personal level. But, folks, look, there's so much Trump hate out here that if he took a drinking straw and sucked out every drop of flood water from Houston and spit it into the Gulf of Mexico, they would have said he should have spit it into the Indian Ocean.
You know, I have to say this to you. This is a gentleman who is now going to learn the cost of cutting all of these programs. Because these are the programs that we needed, and this is why we needed them. So he'll learn, he'll figure it out, because that's what every president does, right? That's what every president does. They figure it out. But I think he has not done himself a whole lot of good with some of the things he decided to do and how he started all of this. I think that is a lot of what's happening.
I actually think that's a great point, that I agree with you. He's not looking to better himself. He's making decisions that I think better the American people. By making government... making government work more effectively and more efficiently and using resources in a more responsible manner, I don't think that's something that we should... And they're taxpayer dollars.
You know, we're not letting you go.
We're going to go and come right back, and we're not. They're coming back.
Where do you stand on the Syrian refugee crisis?
Well, I think it makes not so much sense to bring people 8,000 miles from where they live to bring them to the United States, where we already have a problem with homelessness, unemployment. Shouldn't we first ask ourselves, why are they refugees? They're refugees because ISIS has taken over their neighborhoods and their communities. So if we finally decide that we're going to get rid of ISIS, these folks can go back home. Going back home is a much better option than bringing tens or hundreds of thousands of people to a culture and country.
And where do you suggest, I'm just curious, they go while that's happening?
I think we have refugee camps in the Middle East, closer to where they are. Look, Franklin Graham's organization, Samaritan's Purse, would do a much better job of operating it. I know that I was in Pakistan right after the earthquakes. I saw what Americans were able to do, helping those people, tens of thousands of them. It was Americans who staffed that up. It wasn't Europe. It wasn't Asia. It wasn't the continents of Africa. It was always Americans who did it.
Yeah.
But that makes more sense, to help those folks where they are and help them get back to their homes and their neighborhoods and recognize what got them thrown out of their neighborhoods in the first place.
I think they all know. I think they know.
Oh, I think they do,
but
too.
But I also think then if we follow your criteria, and I don't think this is what you mean, but this is what it feels like maybe we have to change some of the writing on the Statue of Liberty.
No, I don't think we do, Whoopi, because the Statue of Liberty is very clear. Bring your tired, your weary, but it didn't say bring terrorists. And, you know, the State Department...
But that's like saying everybody's a terrorist, Mike. That's not what you mean.
No, it doesn't. It's not what I mean. But look, there are people who went into Europe that weren't Syrians. They weren't refugees. They were connected to terrorist organizations. And we hear, don't worry, we'll vet them. This lady that just shot up the party, she had been vetted. She'd been thoroughly vetted. So, I mean, if the same people that gave us the Obamacare website and gave us the vetting of this particular terrorist are going
to be... If you're going to blame this on President Obama, I'm going to kick you in the leg.
No, I'm just talking about the incompetence of this government.
He and I are actually friends, and we're teasing.
I love Whoopi.
Yeah,
I just don't agree with her on
No, but that's the great thing. That's the great thing about being in this country.
Yes.
Is we can do this without being afraid of being killed on the street because we disagree.
Right.
That's the beauty of America.
Between the press corps and the White House. We've certainly seen that escalate in this administration. I think that there is certainly responsibility on both sides. We have to be forthcoming. We have to be honest. That's our obligation to the American people. But it's also journalists' obligation to present facts, not opinions. It's the American people's ability to get to take those facts and decide where they want to come down on an issue. To me, a good news story is if all the facts are presented and you don't know which side the author of that story is on. Right. And I think we need to get back to a little bit less editorial comments from the media and a little bit more fact delivering to the American people.
But my clarification here is that when he refers to the media, that's a massive group of people. Technically, we're media, there are journalists. I feel that by specifying when there's something wrong, I think that is a responsibility of the administration, because the problem is you have an American people that are now distrusting, because this has been a consistent talking point of his and the administration's. It's dangerous because the media is here for a purpose. It has a very important historical role. And when people that don't know the difference in these mediums are sitting out there going, oh, medium, fake news, you are kind of taking away a check and balance of society.
It's also very dangerous for the media not to live up to the responsibility that they have, and that is to actually present factual information.
But
I mean, a lot of times I sit in a room.
When one person does it, I think you need to say, we read this article, and that is problematic, because there are like thousands of us. and we can only do our part individually. So when you call out all of us each time, we take the fall for when we do backup research and we do present information, you're making us all take that fall.
Well, and I think that goes both ways. I mean, the media often characterizes all Republicans, all conservatives, all Democrats. I think that happens certainly on both sides when you take those generalities, and that certainly, I think, is a give and take, not just from the administration, but also from the news media.
Is the media supposed to not report on the fact that 95% of what he says is a lie?
Well, that's... The problem with that, Joy, is that is you are doing exactly what we're talking about and pushing a false narrative.
No, it's not.
95% of what the president says is not a lie.
It's from PolitiFact, from Politico. It's not just the dreaded New York Times. It is other outlets that say it. 5% of his statements are true. 5%.
That's just it.
And I feel for you. I feel sorry for you that you have to go out and defend those lies every day.
And that has been documented. And so as the face of really the administration, what do you say to the Americans?
Stormy Daniels she's cleaning up. I mean, she's making a ton of money. Her career is revived. And she's just playing the hand she was dealt. No problem there. What bothers me, though, in giving her this platform, Monica Lewinsky was also caught having an affair with a president. Who's going to interview her? I'd love to see someone interview her. Her life was ruined by this affair.
Times. What are you talking about?
Bring her back. Jimmy Kimmel's going to have Stormy Daniels on.
She's been on this. You know about Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel needs to have her on his show if he expects us to watch an interview with Stormy Daniels and take it seriously. Stormy Daniels is killing it. Monica Lewinsky's life